welcome to a video on media discernment. My name is Cool Guy for you, and I have the mic completely different, so bear with me as I try and normalize it because I'm used to it right here on this as a headphone mic. But anyhow, media discernment. This is something I want to teach, so this is something for people interested in media discernment, or parents, or Christians, or even anybody else, whoever might be interested. So anyhow, this is kind of like a little lesson-y type thing, and I think I'll only have one more after this, or before this. I don't know what it'll be, but there's, I think I'll skip a bit I have on it, but I think I'll just go with a simpler route so we don't take forever on this, but because that's for something else. So anyhow, there's like 7 different regards that we need to keep our ears open for, and keep our eyes watchful of with any particular media. So first one is spiritual elements. That's the first one we need to keep an eye out for and keep our ears out for. Let's say there's a ghost in a show. Well, that's something you should discern and something you should point out, and that's just what I intend to do. I would point that out in any of my media discernment stuff. Another thing might simply just be magic. If there's these people using magic, or whatever the case, that would be something to point out with media discernment. Another thing is if there's any other type of religious imagery, or even satanic elements, who knows, but well, let's just go with the other Christian imagery. Let's say the show you're watching shows like a what is it, like a Taoism symbol, or I forgot what it's called. Anyhow, it's that black and white circle thing, which is kind of like half and half. That would be something to point out, simply. I think I'm fumbling over this, but who cares? A second regard to media discernment is something to keep an eye out for and watch your ears with, is certain sexual content. Maybe even if it's just a kiss, you can take note of that or something, but I don't think a kiss is anything to be too particular with. Let's say you're watching a TV show, and let's just say it alludes towards 2 characters having slept together or something outside of marriage. That would be something to discern and take note of. Other things, it kind of delves into the next one, but let's just say for another example, if there's these strong, very strong, sexual jokes or something like that. Very strong, like Hollywood would probably like to do. That would be something to take note of and point out. And I guess for another example, let's go with, is there like a, like some sort of, homosexual element or, transgender element in this show, or something like that. There could be instances of that. That's something to take note of and discern. But anyhow, the third element is words. So this primarily is about, like swearing and stuff. Let's say you're watching a movie, and the movie starts out in typical Hollywood fashion, okay? They only have like 7-word vocabularies or something along those lines. So the movie starts out, and it starts out with a swear word, very first line. What do you think you can expect from the rest of that movie? Is it going to be good, or is it going to be garbage if it starts out garbage? That's something to... So if they're swearing, that's something to discern with words, under the words area. That's something real simple. So... Yeah, and like I said, the other part of like words as an example is these, very strong, sexual references. So that's another element. I don't think I can come up with a third example. I guess quite simply, if I don't know, if certain characters don't, let's say a typical, parent type thing, and if they don't treat each other right with words, maybe that's something to take note of and discern. So a fourth element to keep an eye out for and to listen for, one or the other, is violence. I can understand some mild occurrences, or like simple stooges or whatever that is, whatever all they did. But the media kind of goes berserk with this kind of stuff. Hollywood pushes all this garbage. So what to keep an eye out for is, too much blood. Let's say you're watching a show, there's all this blood and stuff, unnecessary, over the top. That's something to take note of, discern. And then gore, that's another thing to take note of and discern. If there's too much of that, you don't need it. You don't need Hollywood's garbage. And then I guess a component of that is how they treat human life. Is this movie properly valuing human life, or is it not valuing human life? So that could be another thing to discern and stuff like that. So a fifth component to keep an eye out for is essentially the fifth thing is kind of a mix, drugs, alcohol, or smoking. Hollywood seems to want to push this like they're 500 pounds. So let's say you're watching a show, and let's say your favorite character, starts doing drugs or whatever, or whatever the case. That would be something to take note of and discern, okay? I'll write down something for the end here. Give me a moment. Here was there we go. All right. So that'll be a point for later on. All right. So now imagine if you, continuing on with point 5, imagine if you, whatever character, let's say a side character, or whatever, or a secondary character, they drink alcohol, or there's alcohol in the scene, or there's drinking, or whatever the case. That would be something to take note of and to discern. Now, let's say there's this, continuing on with point 5, let's say there's this like Western or something, and there's these, cowboys and stuff, and they do some smoking. Hello, what are people going to think? If there's these cool cowboys and they're doing this, what are people going to think is, fine and dandy? They're going to think the smoking is fine and dandy. And all that hot garbage is just to addict you. You don't want to get addicted to all of the garbage pushes that Hollywood's doing. So, and the media industries, I guess, as well. All right, so that pretty much finishes up point 5. Point 6 is, another one of my, media discernment things, which is point 6. Tattoos or piercings. Let's say in this movie there's a person that's all tattooed up or something, or maybe even a main character. I think that's something to discern and take note of. Same kind of thing with all sorts of various piercings and stuff. So let's say there's these young characters and they're all for that kind of thing, and they're all pierced up, pretty much anything and everything. Well, that would be something to write down and discern about whatever show that is. And now just quite simply the 7th point, which is anything else that I'm not thinking of, anything other or miscellaneous type stuff that I didn't even think of. There's probably 100 different points. I only kind of gave out my personal list of overall points. So anything that doesn't fit in those categories can kind of go in the 7th category. I don't know what that would be, just smaller extra things that might be this or that or wishy-washy. So overall, spiritual elements, spiritual/religious elements, sexual elements, or very strong sexual elements. Third is words. Keep an eye out for all that swearing push. They're going to seek to normalize all that and push that. Violence and strong violence, blood, gore, whatever. Hollywood's going to, and the media industries are going to push all this garbage violence over the top. And point 5, all this drugs, alcohol, smoking, all the media industries in Hollywood are going to push this garbage. They're going to be trying to push it onto your kids, normalize it, get them addicted, get them stumbling. So you're going to want to guard for that. Point 6, tattoos, piercings, stuff like that. Hollywood and the media industries are going to push all that. They're going to try and make it cool for your kids. And those type of things, I'll probably make a separate video for those. They kind of have their weaker and stronger forms today. There's 2 different kind of forms now of them. So that's a thing to be cautious about with media. And then quite simply, anything else. But anyhow, the big point I want to make, I want to teach media discernment somehow, and I don't know what the best way is. So I'm just making a couple simple videos, and then I'm going to actually go through and discern media, and hopefully that'll maybe help teach people if they kind of go alongside it. Hey, watch this episode and then review this episode of my media discernment for it, and maybe take similar notes. I don't know. I'm hoping for something. But anyhow, for it to do some good somehow. And a big point I want to make is, people have to care about discerning the content more than the content itself and characters. I understand caring about a show. I understand that. I fully understand that. I like a bunch of shows. I like a bunch of different media. I like a bunch of different genres and everything. But you gotta care about discerning the content more so than caring about the simple characters or the show itself. So that might challenge some people. Who knows? I don't know. It'll probably be a good challenge for you. What was the other thing? There was another point that kind of got me. There was something there, but I lost it. Anyhow. That ought to do it for this video, but I was just kind of trying to give, a standard of measurement. I guess I will kind of say it. You can't build a house without a standard of measurement, like a ruler or a foot. So too, shall, I have a standard of, an absolute standard of measurement for media discernment. This is my personal bit, So, but we will never spot out or hear everything. As I and you are probably just one person. We can't spot it all out, but we can try to discern media, So we have, ears to listen for things and our eyes scanning the screen for things to point out too. We can't just watch it. We got to discern it, is my point. So I'm doing a call for media discernment. It is high time people discern media. And I'm primarily talking about Christians here. So us Christians, yeah. So those were the most common things I can think of to point out and try and watch for or listen for. And the reason I said that Hollywood thing, if there's a swear at the start, you know how the rest of the movie's going to be. That's because I know, because it's happened to me. So I know how a movie will be from Hollywood. I know before I even try it out. I'm not even interested in Hollywood anymore. That's how garbage they are. So anyhow, I will simply finish this off because I probably rambled on way too long, and this should have been a simple whatever minute video, and I probably made it 2 or 3, possibly 6 times as long as it should have been. But anyhow, media industries, get ready because I'm coming for you to discern your content. I won't let you get away with all the garbage that you're pushing onto kids. I'm not going to let you get away with it. So I'm going to do some good, and I hope people get behind me on it. I'm going to toss all my ideas, and we're gonna hopefully delve into different areas of media and discern them and show people how it's done. So, and I'm not saying that in an ego way. I'm just saying it in a better way than people are probably going about things now. So, anyhow, I guess I can thank Hollywood for giving me plenty of content to sift through in terms of their garbage. So thank you very much, Hollywood, for having a bunch of video ideas that I can discern for people. So anyhow, that'll be all for now. I'll record a second video kind of similar to this. It just delves into slightly different, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a fraction of the time. Anyhow, alright, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and at some point we're going to actually do media discernment. I don't know when. I want to do it in like bundles of 5 videos, and it's being very tricky to have it come about, because there's no There's no like pattern for it already. So it's like I can take it in 12 different ways, and it's very tricky to decide. And it's very awkward trying to start something new when there's no, like predetermined path for it to take or mold or form. So it's very free flow. So we'll just have to see later. All right. So anyhow, take or cool.